Nelson was returning from his vacation, eager to meet the new hires in his department at the bank. As the deputy head of resources, he had been instrumental in the recruitment process, but had missed the final interviews. Upon his return, he walked into the office and caught sight of her. A woman with a quiet elegance and a grace that immediately drew his attention. "Who is she?" Nelson asked his assistant, casually glancing towards Precious. "That's Precious," his assistant replied. "She just joined the team last week." From that moment, Nelson was captivated. It was love at first sight, a feeling he had never experienced before. Determined to get to know her better, he decided to personally handle all her onboarding documentation. "Leave Precious's paperwork on my desk," Nelson instructed his subordinates, who were puzzled but complied without question. Over the next 2 weeks, Nelson found reasons to interact with Precious. He would accidentally bump into her at the hallway or stop by her desk to ask questions about her progress. He was charming, attentive, and persistent. Before her orientation period was over, he mustered the courage to ask her out on a date. "Precious, I was wondering if you'd like to have dinner with me this Friday," Nelson asked, his heart racing. Precious hesitated. She was still reeling from a heartbreak that had shattered her just 6 months earlier. Her longtime boyfriend, Steve, had jilted her to marry another woman. The betrayal was still fresh, and the pain had not yet subsided. The whole episode was still very fresh and raw in her memory. He had visited her in Lagos from Port Harcourt and promised he was going to see her parents in another 1 month, as he had to first inform his family members. She was so elated and had informed her mom and her 2 sisters. The excitement in her home was palpable, and they all looked forward to the date being fixed. Her sisters had even started making plans for how they would dress up on that day. And Rema, her youngest sister, had even informed her close friend, that is a makeup artist, that she would be the one to do the makeup on that day. 1 week later, a friend of hers sent pictures of Steve getting married to another girl. He had not posted it on his social media accounts and had also told his new wife not to post it. However, another family member posted it and tagged Steve's account. As soon as Precious saw the pictures, she called him to confirm if it was true, and he blatantly denied. Even when she sent the pictures she got, he only quickly deleted them from his social media accounts and still denied, then promised that their plans for the introduction were still in place. The evidences were so glaring, so she had to block him from all her social media accounts and phone. She was still hurting when she got the job with the bank, and she felt that 6 months was still early for her to move into a relationship. "Nelson, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not sure I'm ready for that," Precious replied, her voice tinged with sadness. "I understand," Nelson said gently, "but if you ever change your mind, I'll be here." Despite her initial reluctance, Precious found herself drawn to Nelson's kindness and persistence. They began to spend more time together, and slowly, Precious started to heal. 4 months after their first meeting, they officially started dating. Nelson made it clear from the beginning that he was serious about their relationship and wanted it to lead to marriage. "Precious, I'm not here to play any games. I want to build a future with you," Nelson said one evening as they walked through the park. Precious, still cautious from her past experience, nodded. "Let's take it 1 step at a time, Nelson. I've been hurt before, and I don't want to rush into anything." A year passed and their bond grew stronger. Nelson proposed to Precious, and she accepted with a mix of joy and nervousness. The next step was to introduce their families. Precious's mother, Ebon, was thrilled and began preparations with great enthusiasm. Mom, it's just Nelson and his parents. You don't have to go overboard. Precious laughed as her mother cooked up a stone. Nonsense, Ebon replied. You must do this right. On the day of the introduction, Nelson arrived with his parents. As they walked into the living room, Ebon's expression went from joy to shock. She went cold and silent, her eyes fixed on Nelson's father. Ebon, what's wrong? Chief Kola, Precious's father asked, noticing the sudden shift in the wife's demeanor. Ebon didn't answer. She just stared at Nelson's father, Mr. Sule Yahaya. After an awkward silence, Mr. Yahaya spoke up. We are here because our son would like to pluck a beautiful flower from the garden, he said with a warm smile. At those words, Ebon suddenly screamed, over my dead body, and stormed into her bedroom. The room fell into stunned silence. What's going on? Precious whispered to her father, who was just as confused as everyone else. They followed Ebon to the room where she broke down in tears and confessed a secret she had kept for over 2 decades. Kola, she began, her voice trembling. During my National Youth Service, Mr. Yahaha was my supervisor. We were in the United States at that time for the course. I had a fling with him, and I found out I was pregnant. When we returned, I lied about the pregnancy being yours. I cut off all contact with Mr. Yahaya. Precious is his daughter. Chief Kola was speechless. The truth was like a bomb that exploded in his heart. He dragged Ebon back to the living room and forced her to repeat her confession in front of everyone. Mr. Yahaya's face drained of color as the realization hit him. You mean Precious is my daughter? He stammered, looking at the young woman who had just been introduced as his potential daughter-in-law. Yes, Ebon replied, her voice barely whisper. Precious, who had been silently absorbing the shock, suddenly spoke up. I'm pregnant, she said, her voice shaking. I just found out a few days ago. I hadn't even told Nelson yet. The whole room descended into chaos. There was crying, shouting, and disbelief. Nelson, though devastated, took Precious's hand. I don't care about anything else, Precious. I love you, and I will stand by you. We will figure this out together, he promised. After Nelson and his parents left, Ebon began packing her things, expecting Chief Kola to throw her out. But to her surprise, he stopped her. Stay, he said firmly. I'm hurt, yes, but you've been a good wife and a good mother. I wouldn't let another man claim my daughter. I have raised Precious as my own, and I will continue to do so. I will fight anyone who tries to take that away from me. The family faced many challenges in the weeks that followed, but they remained united. Precious had tried procuring an abortion, as it was considered a taboo for her to bear the child. However, her doctor advised her against that, as she had challenging medical issues that would make an abortion very dangerous for her. Her doctor noticed that she had rare abnormalities in her uterus, and this would also make the procedure too challenging and dangerous. So Nelson and Precious decided to co-parent their child while navigating the complex emotions that the revelations had brought to light. Lessons learned. The importance of honesty. Ebon's long-lost secret eventually came to light, showing that honesty, though sometimes painful, is crucial to maintaining trust in relationships. The power of forgiveness. Chief Kola's decision to forgive his wife and continue to embrace Precious as his daughter highlights the strength and importance of forgiveness within a family. Resilience in the face of adversity. Despite the shocking revelations and emotional turmoil, Nelson and Precious chose to face their challenges together, showing the importance of resilience and support in a relationship. The complexity of family ties. The story illustrates how complex and intertwined family relationships can be, and how they require patience, understanding, and a commitment to navigate through difficult times. Thank you very much for listening. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed this story, I'm sure you will enjoy the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.